It's now time for Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, live on the Woodward Sports Network. Every day, 2 to 4 p.m. Starring Ryan Ermanni, Michigan great and former NFL baller Braylon Edwards, and of course, Tom Mazaway. Let's talk some sports.
Good afternoon and welcome to Woodward Sports. This is Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. Maz is right there. Ryan Ermanni won't be joining us today. He started his holiday a little early, and no one works as hard as him, so he deserves that day off. We also have Flannel Sam coming into us, the audio booth. Appreciate you working the show today, brother. JB in the TD booth, my man to the right. If I didn't have him, I wouldn't have my right arm. And Maz, we got a special guest today.
We do. We've got our good friend Bill Keenist, former director of communications, the president of the Detroit Lions now. He's an NFL guy. He's a real NFL insider. He's a game rep.
Yeah.
Bill Keenist, BK, welcome into the show, my friend.
Thank you, guys. Thank
Football
you,
historian.
There you go.
Right there.
Well, speaking of football historian, what better place to start? Yesterday, we talked about Scott Mitchell and the Bye Bye Barry documentary, which last night, Maz, Bill, I got a chance to check it out, and we'll get into Scott Mitchell later because guess what? He will be on the show today, so tune in. We have former Lions quarterback Scott Mitchell on the show. A lot of things to talk about.
Dan Miller coming up.
Dan Miller, too. It's a packed show. You got Bill, you got Dan, you have Scott Mitchell. But I want to start with the doc. Bill, did you get a chance to check out the Bye Bye Barry doc? And you were there on the ground, boots on the ground, kind of through the whole thing. Just talk about what the document did for you.
I saw the young Bill
back.
Keenist in that.
I did, too. I was getting to
Your hair
that.
was a little darker, though.
Yeah,
But he still has the hair, though.
There you go. That's true.
Pull that mic over by you, Billy.
All right. How's that? A little better?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my fault. I don't have my headphone thing.
I'll tell you one thing that hit me because it took me back to what I would share countless times when Barry was playing.
Yeah.
And that was, I don't think we'll fully appreciate his greatness until he's gone, until he's done. And watching that last night, I even found myself oohing and on at some of the stuff he did. We forget about how incredible he was. And I've told people he could go two different directions at the same time. And anybody that played defense against him would probably smile and say, yeah, that might be the case.
Yeah.
But Barry was so unique. And in every game he played, in my opinion, he was the biggest factor in the game, despite what his stats were. And they were usually extraordinary, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
But the impact he had on the defense was unlike any player from that era. And B, you know how it is. I mean, the defenses had number one priority in every game. Stop Barry. Don't let him beat you. And even when he didn't have the stats, they played to stop him.
So it opened up for other people.
It opened up the play action, the passing game, and that Dallas playoff game is a great example of that.
Yep.
When Eric Kramer tore it up because he took advantage of the defense they were playing.
Yeah, 100%. It's no different when you talk about Emmitt Smith. When Emmitt Smith had his success, look who benefited. Here comes Michael Irvin. Here comes Jay Novacek. Here comes Alvin Harper. When you have great running backs, everybody gets a chance to eat off that, especially in that era. And I'm just watching, and you're right. It was the moves, and it was the balance, and the way in which he did it. His quads. I'm not saying pause in this one. His quads was just huge, and allowing him to have that low center of gravity, stepping over guys. Watching those highlights, and you knew Barry was special because I tried to do that stuff. I'm in the backyard, we're playing in the park, Maz. I'm playing with the guys. You're trying to emulate that, and just couldn't get down that low. Just couldn't really get down.
Ball bearings in his ankles.
Oh, 100%, 1,000.
Yeah.
Maz, when you think Barry, is the doc going on? What's the first highlight that comes to mind? Barry Sanders, go.
Well, there's two. The Dallas game when he turned out, was it Tony Casillas?
Yeah, Tony Casillas.
He looked back. It's one of my favorite
he thought
things.
The play was over.
And when he spun Harlan Barnett around as a Patriot was my second
Michigan
favorite.
State's coach.
And the third one is when he rolled on those Bears and stayed up and kept going. There's so many.
That Bear game was the opening game in '92.
Chris Zorn.
It was back and forth.
Yeah.
And that touchdown put us ahead. And guess who threw the winning touchdown pass in that game? Tom Waddle.
Oh, wow.
The Bears last second.
What year again?
92.
92. So the year after?
Come on.
Not Harbs.
Yeah.
Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh.
Harbaugh.
Yeah. So we lost that game in the last second. But, that touchdown by Barry was how many guys touched him on that play.
He just rolled over him.
Yeah.
Just rolled over him, man. You know what today is today?
Yeah.
Today is the 60th anniversary, not only of our losing our great president, John F. Kennedy, but William Clay Ford signing the deal and walking out of, I don't know where he walked out of, in Detroit, but he came out and he just signed his paper. He's all happy, and there's no one around. He's like, where the hell is everybody?
Right.
Who knew that the president was assassinated the same day that William Clay Ford signed those papers?
I've collected some famous newspaper front pages. My oldest son, Billy, is a passionate JFK fan.
Me too.
And on some of those front pages from across the country, you'll see, president assassinated.
Yes.
And then on the front page, William Clay Ford buys the Lions.
Yes.
So
isn't that something?
It is something.
That was what I always said. That was the jinx of all jinxes.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here today in 2023 fighting to go to playoffs, trying to have a home playoff game for the first time since 1991.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into the current Lions because they do have a game coming up tomorrow, in fact, at Ford Field against the Green Bay Packers. We'll get into that. But just sticking here with Barry and all that, and you talked about 60 years ago, they have that documentary that's out now on, if you go to Disney Plus, I think it's Discovery. It's at the day, I can't think of the name, but it's the JFK.
Yes.
You saw that.
Yes.
Oh, it's a great, man. It's a three-piece. And just about that whole day, the day leading up to it, they talk about how Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis wasn't even supposed to be in that cart.
Right.
Because she didn't go to the breakfast. There was a breakfast event. He called her on the phone. He said, no, I need my wife here. So she had to go to it. And it's explained basically by the last two survivors of that day, whether it be the CIA or whether it be Secret Service details. So it's definitely something to watch. It just takes you through the day. And it sucks reliving that over and over. But it's give you some things that I've never seen.
I'm listening to a podcast right now that Rob Reiner is doing with Soledad O'Brien. It's like a 4-parter. I highly recommend it for anyone that is interested in that day. And Billy, you're one of that day it lives in infamy, man.
I
can't get November 22nd to me that's all I think about.
Yeah, I actually have a very vague but real memory of when President Kennedy was campaigning. I grew up south of Pittsburgh, small river town, and he drove through the town, and I have this image of him driving through. I didn't see him, but I saw the vehicle.
Sure.
And I think the country was so different back then, and there was so much hope for him.
The youngest president.
By so many.
Yeah.
And the 60s became quite a turbulent decade.
Yeah, he did. So
yeah,
it was tough. Let's try to get out of the 60s. Yesterday we had a chance to talk. I love the 60s, but we're talking about
70s,
but we're just talking about death and murder. I'm talking about death to the Bears, not death in the past. But yesterday, Bye Bye Barry released on Monday, and then Scott Mitchell came out and said some things on Facebook, kind of his take on what he saw in there. Did you get a chance to see what he had to say yesterday when he posted?
Yeah, I did, and I
just first thoughts, if you will.
It was unfortunate. I thought because I know what Barry meant to the team, and like I said earlier, every game he played in, he had the biggest impact on that game, despite his stats.
Yeah.
And it's the ultimate team game, obviously. So you win as a team, lose as a team.
100.
And there were a couple of those playoff games we easily could have won. And as I was sharing with you guys, when we went to Green Bay, when he had his infamous -1, I had a premonition, or maybe just knowing what I knew. I was so worried about that field in Lambeau being a quagmire, quite honestly. And I had suggested to some of our executives, we should hire somebody to camp out.
Yeah.
And all I'm going to tell you is when I walked on the field that morning in the playoff game, and back then, the Packers only played 5 games at Lambeau.
Right.
They still played 3 at County Stadium.
Yep.
Okay. So that game, I don't know if there were any high school playoff games played on that field. I don't believe so. And all I can tell you is it was as if somebody watered the grass.
Yeah.
And the grass was as high as any grass field we play on that year. And when you got Reggie White weighing 300 plus and the traction and footing he can get, compared to Barry, who's all about traction.
Yeah.
it was something that just, and we almost won the game at the very end.
Herman Moore, right?
Yeah, we hit Herman back of the end zone, and for a minute we're like, he just 1 foot out of bounds.
And then Green Bay took a late safety in that game and kicked it, and we couldn't go anywhere. But
no.
It reminded me of the Don Shula leaving this tarp off the Orange Bowl for the Jets game, and looking to slow Freeman McNeil down.
Yeah.
Jets wound up winning 14. Dolphins wound up winning 14-0.
Yeah.
The AJ Dewey taking that one into Killer Bees that year, and the Dolphins went and lost to
the Washington Redskins.
Right.
There you go.
That's right.
My first job.
That's
my
right.
First
You were
team.
there.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
Washington was the first landing spot for you.
Yeah.
Long live RFK.
What was it like in those days? The Hogs and John Riggins.
Yeah,
Riggo. What was that like?
Riggins was a stud.
Yeah,
he was.
I mean,
how'd the Jets ever let him go?
Such a good guy.
Because they're the Jets.
Yep.
Yeah.
Facts.
I mean,
I'm speaking as a Jet.
Facts.
Yeah. He was such a man's man and such a stud. And he literally carried the team in the playoffs. The first game was against the Lions in that playoff run before we played Miami in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And I tell people this because that game started out, the Lions dominated the first quarter. Dominated. Up and down the field. I think Billy fumbled. They were on about a 50, 60-yard march, and Billy fumbled inside the 20. And then the Redskins, I think 3 and out, punt, and then they're driving again. And I think it was Eric. I think it was Hipple throws an out, and Jarris White picks it, goes 77 yards. So, I mean,
changed the game.
They were deep in Redskin territory, and that was it. Elvin Garrett caught 3 touchdown passes from Joe Theismann, and Riggins had over 100 yards. And then it just the next game.
I don't remember that playoff game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Well,
I don't remember the NFC Championship, of course.
That was the strike year.
Right.
And Detroit was 4-5. And we had the number 1 seed in the NFC. We were 8-1, I guess it was, going into the playoffs. But yeah, Riggins, Dexter Manley, I loved. What a freak athlete he was.
He was a monster.
I mean, he was a stud. Dave Butts, Art Monk, Charlie Brown.
Oh, Art Monk, man.
Joe Gibbs.
Who was on the other side of Art Monk? Gary Clark?
No, that was the
was
next,
a little later.
Yeah, but it was Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown, right.
Yeah, who had like touchdowns in 7 straight games, had a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Alvin Garrett was on that team, a little smurf. And Joe Washington, little Joe Washington.
Of course.
From Oklahoma.
I remember, for sure. They have another wide receiver named Hank something. It was, what was his name? Henry Ellard.
Henry Ellard was later.
He was a Ram, then a Skin.
That's right. He was actually my coach. Okay. I'll talk about him when we get back, and we'll get into the Detroit Lions because they do have a meaningful game. But first, let's talk to you about Dispo. Dispo Romeo now open till midnight. Michigan's largest cannabis mall. 21 up you have to be, but guess what? It's the best way and the best place to get your products to consume. Whether it's flour, whether it's oil, it doesn't matter. You come, you have a good time. Edibles too, and they even have cream. Because sometimes the parents, they need a little cream for the aches and pains. So Dispo Romeo open till midnight. Michigan's largest cannabis mall.
We've just received word. The world's cannabis supply has vanished. The public is outraged and has taken to the streets in response to this tragedy. The individual responsible acted alone, and we can only hope they will make things right soon.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
When buying or selling real estate, flexibility and control over the sales process is key. Sellers, how would you like the freedom of canceling your listing agreement at any time for any reason with no penalty? That is exactly what Mark White and Associate offers. It's called the minute-by-minute listing agreement by Mark White and Associates. Try Mark White's risk-free minute-to-minute listing agreement today. Looking to buy or sell real estate? Visit markwhitesales.com, or as always, give them a call at 248-290-8242. markwhitesales.com, where flexibility meets success.
I still think it's something special. I do. I believe that. And the Detroit Lions have been, it's Detroit and Dallas, and it's always been known for that. I know they got the late game now, but I do think it's special, and it's a privilege to be able to play on Thanksgiving Day. It's a privilege for our guys. And everybody's watching, all your families, all your friends, and this is the type of game, man, you come out of, and you got somebody you went to school with in second grade who's texting you, and you forgot until he texted you, and you're like, oh my God, and family member, everything, and so it's kind of cool like that.
And that's Dan Campbell talking about Thanksgiving Thanksgiving Thursdays, playing in the backyard, playing with your friends on the courtyard. But before that, I gotta get back to what's going on here. We have Bill Keenis, so we're gonna talk about Bye Bye Barry. We're gonna talk about Thanksgiving Thursday with the Lions. But we just got a visitor, Jennifer Ham, Fox 2. Jennifer, what's going on, Ham?
I had to come get my double espresso cap, my double cap. What do you call it? I don't know what it is.
It's coffee.
I'm not a coffee guy.
I had to come get my coffee at Rose. My son works at Rose.
Of course, I know.
And we just took a family picture, holiday picture at my other daughter's house, and my other
How
daughter's
was
here
that?
too. Great. Wednesday's my day off. Wednesday is
The Hammer.
Ham, it's good to have you here. You were on the show yesterday. You were on the show.
Like, what the first question is.
Bye,
Bye
Barry.
Barry.
Yes. And I saw Bill in there too.
I open up to you. Bye Bye Barry. Talk about what it was like going back through those memories as you were reliving it and now watching it.
Gosh, I'm going to tell you, watching it.
93 you got to 94?
I started in 94. 94 was my first season covering the Lions, Wayne and that team, and for WDFN Radio. Mm-hmm. And it was incredible. And watching Barry again running Bill, and probably everyone who loves football. Yeah. It's not unique to me. No. It is so unreal how he ran. And to see it again like that just took me back. I don't even remember him being that spectacular. Like, I knew he was spectacular, but watching it again, it's unlike anything we've ever seen or ever will see again.
I got the chills, man. I get the chills every time. And it's great. It was great to see it for an hour and a half.
It was incredible to watch it for an hour and a half. And it didn't answer a ton of questions.
No, it didn't.
But I think what it did do was maybe kind of smooth over any animosity that there was between the city and the man. Because the fact that he is now back in the fold with the team, and his sons are here, And
that was a great part about his sons, too, in London, kind of the full circle moment. But before we get to that full circle moment, kind of talk about what it was like when Barry left. Like, when the facts got sent, when you guys figured out what happened. Just talk about the people, what was the energy about Barry in this city?
So this was not, I told this story, but it didn't make the documentary. I was on my honeymoon, actually. I was on my honeymoon. And I was in a hotel with my new husband, Brad, we were in, I think, Calgary on our way to Emerald Lake.
Oh, nice.
In Canada. And he saw the scroll come across the bottom of ESPN, and he said, you better take a look at it.
TSN, that's Canada, baby.
I don't know. I think we had ESPN there. Whatever it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's like, you better take a look at this. And I walked over, and it's like, and Bill, you could probably completely understand. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Barry Sanders walks away, faxes his retirement to a Wichita paper, and I was stunned. I was shocked. I was sad. I was angry. It was a lot of emotion.
I was doing sports rep that night on WJR.
Yeah, how did you feel?
We were on the air, myself, Steve Courtney, Dan Dickerson, when it happened. And we called, and the guys were sleeping at this time, most of them. Yeah. We called Saginaw Valley and woke people up. I think I woke Bill up first.
Oh,
but Bill was up.
Yeah,
so I started calling rooms, and I'm like, hey, did you know Barry retired? And they were like, no way. What are you doing? And I forgot who we got on the show, but we got a few of them on the show that night, and it was a complete shock. We were on till midnight that night, straight through with Barry talk.
I do wonder if this is one thing he didn't really touch on in the doc, is I do wonder to what degree he feels bad that he left his teammates in the lurch, because he really did. He screwed the pooch that year with that team. Here they're coming back, and I know Boss Ross wasn't the easiest guy to deal with, wasn't the easiest coach, but he was a good man. He wanted to win. What did he say? I sent Barry 10 handwritten letters.
He called them 20 times.
Handwritten letters.
Yeah.
And for me as a young kid, and then obviously my dad played running back. My dad played in the league. I played ball, so I was always on Barry's side. I was like, well, if they wouldn't have got rid of Lomas Brown, if they wouldn't have gotten rid of Kevin Glover, if they wouldn't have gotten rid of Brett Perriman, Jerry Ball, Chris Spielman, and it goes on. So I always came from that space. Now I'm a little older. I'm in the media-ish, if you will, and I'm asking you, Bill. I bring it to you. With Barry in that situation, us knowing how Barry was, I mean, you're talking about the guy that was falling asleep winning the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
You're talking about the guy that...
it was 3 a.m. in his defense.
Very true. You're talking about a guy that when Dan Patrick interviewed him, and he's just like, look, man, you got to respect me. Basically, he's trying to tell you, I just want to play football and be left alone. You knew this for 10 years. Did it really surprise you that Barry went out this way in terms of sending the facts, Wichita, longtime friend of me? Did it surprise you?
It really didn't, and that, may seem, yeah, right, didn't surprise you, but
You were there.
I had a premonition. I did. And I had reason to believe that it could happen. And going back toward the end of the previous season.
Against the Ravens.
Pardon me?
Against the Ravens.
That game
was last game.
And that game was awful.
When you look at what happened to Lomas, and we let him go, and he only played 7 more years. Kevin Glover,
2 Super Bowls.
What happened to Kevin contractually was abhorrent, quite frankly, and those were probably the 2 closest friends to Barry.
Zach Crockett too,
and Ray Crockett.
Ray Crockett,
and Chris Spielman left, and others, and I just, I wasn't that surprised. I was sad. I mean, it was devastating.
Yeah.
But I will say this, and I've expressed it this way in the past. Barry wasn't only unique on the field; he was unique, period,
Absolutely.
in every way imaginable. His humility, and it was genuine. His work ethic when nobody was watching. I saw some things that would blow me away, but it was genuine Barry, and he did sort of dance to his own drum, if you will. But that was Barry. And so it didn't surprise me. And he like you said, going back to the Heisman, going back to his decision of going to Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
When his dad,
and you bring up the person I want to ask Jennifer Hammond about, William Sanders.
Yeah.
He's really the star.
He was awesome.
What was William Sanders like, Jen?
Yeah.
He was a character. Bill can attest to that.
Yeah.
And what you see is what you get with William Sanders. I mean, he firmly believed. Here comes. He firmly believed that Barry was not the best running back to ever play. That was not a shtick.
No.
Jim Brown was in his mind the best running back, and he grew up watching Jim
Nostalgia.
Brown. Yeah. And so I buy that. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure as time went on, there was probably a little nudge of motivation to his son. I do feel, and I'm going to say this, and I don't know if Barry would ever, cop to this, but when he went into the Hall of Fame in Canton in 2004,
Yes.
we were down there, and I remember thinking that day that I just wished that was one day that William Sanders wouldn't have laid it on thick with the
Jim Brown.
Jim Brown was the greatest of all time.
And he was number 2.
Boy,
Barry was number 3.
Barry was number 3.
Will was number 2.
Yeah, because that was Barry's day, and
I think Barry got it. I think he understood.
He did, right?
I do.
And as one of 10 kids, you really get it.
Yeah, he gets it.
You get it.
He gets it. He loved his dad, and he was. Let's face it, he was the star of that family.
Yeah.
But he didn't live. The dad wanted to be the star of the family, and he was a good man. He really was.
Yep.
Mr. Sanders was a good guy.
He was a throwback.
Yeah.
In many respects, and
never said no to an interview.
That too.
Never met a motherfucker he didn't like.
He adored his kids, all of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think Barry knew how much his dad and mom loved him.
Yeah.
In his dad's case, loved him. But I agree with Jen. I think a lot of us, and I was thinking it too. Okay, Mr. Sanders is going to get up there.
Yeah.
He says, "Okay, I'm going to say what all of you have wanted me to say for all these years. Barry, you are the best.
That would have been great.
Yeah. Right?
That would have been great.
That would have been.
That would have definitely absolutely been great. You know what was great though is 1997.
Yeah.
2,000 yards, Jay. You got to talk about 2,000 yards. I mean, wherever part of it you want to talk about, because it was amazing to talk. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it.
I do have goosebumps, and I wasn't there. I was in Southern California with Lloyd Carr and the Michigan Wolverines.
There you go.
Getting ready for the national championship.
I came the next day.
And I sat with my photographer, who is no longer with us, Rodney Ferguson.
Oh,
we
good man,
sat
Rod.
in a diner. I think that was it I don't know if it was Christmas Eve. I can't even remember the date.
No,
but
it was after Christmas.
No, it was
December.
after Christmas.
December 27th.
And we sat in a diner and we watched part of the game and we saw and we just together, I think we both kind of shed a tear.
Yeah.
For obviously for
Reggie
for
first.
Reggie.
Yeah.
For Reggie, that was unspeakable.
Oh.
And then for Barry, I think that was one of the few times, Bill, and maybe you can chime in on this, that he really, like that smile on his face when his teammates were carrying him.
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
it got
man.
you right in the heart
It
because
did.
it was authentic. They wanted it for him, and I think he wanted it for them.
Yeah.
I'll be watching it again.
I know.
I'm sorry?
It's so,
Yeah.
hats off to Amazon and
Great job.
NFL Films. They did a terrific job with
NFL
that.
Films.
No narrator.
Did you like how they
Awesome.
had the grainy
Phenomenal.
parts in there that it reminded you like the old school watching on Fox, like back in the day, the grainy footage?
The Silverdome footage.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, a shout out
That's
to
the
your old
best.
partner, Jamie Samuelson,
Oh,
the late
what's
great
that?
Jamie Samuelson. When he goes on and he said, what was the phone call, Jen?
We just got a phone call that said I used to think that O.J. Simpson was the worst running back
But he
in
only-
history, but he only stabbed 2 people in the back.
Exactly. That was a drop the mic.
It was a drop the mic
That was a
moment.
drop the mic.
Yeah,
You couldn't get
Jamie.
away with that nowadays.
No, but boy, I
That
still love watching Barry
It's
video. I still love seeing him around. I love when he comes out at Ford Field and the whole crowd starts chanting Barry.
He gets it now. He never. Remember, Bill, in the back in the day, you guys basically had to twist his arm to say a word. Now he says, "Oh, this is
He
how
says
you
a
do
lot.
it. This is how you make money."
especially if you get him on the golf course.
Yes, this is how you make money.
No doubt.
Oh, okay.
You get him on the
it.
golf course, he won't shut up.
Really?
He won't shut up because he's a damn good golfer. I got to get to a break, but more Barry stories when we come back. I mean, we got the Hammer in town. We got Bill Keenan. This is going to be a fun show. Stick
Hey,
with
can
us. Oh, go ahead.
Plug our pregame show tomorrow.
Please.
We start at
please
9.
do.
We start at 9:30
It's
on
all
Fox
you.
2.
Amen.
Just a half hour earlier, so jump in with us. And we're going to have Jeff Daniels, who was also
on
in the
the
Barry
app?
documentary, and it'll be a great.
He's also
great
on
festive
Scott
day.
Mitchell's hit list.
Oh my goodness! And
Scott
I
Mitchell's
finished
coming on with us
watching that.
today.
He is. Please tell him I said hello.
3:35.
He was not maligned in any way, shape,
No.
or form in that.
No.
I don't know what he saw that made him feel so.
I think Wayne's saying, "Hey,
Angry.
the only thing missing was a quarterback."
Right.
I think that's the only thing. And Barry's like, "Huh?" He didn't even say anything about it. Barry didn't
didn't.
take the hook. He did not take
No.
the bait from Wayne.
It's kind of like Chris Jones after that game, and Rodney Harrison tried to
You
take the
got
bait
it.
on Zach
Yep,
Wilson.
he
was
did not
like,
take the
he wouldn't
bait.
take the bait. But check this out. Planet Fitness is the home of the judgment-free zone where anyone can work out and achieve your goals and feel comfortable as you do it. Planet Fitness will experience you to a squeaky clean gene. It gets better and better, cleaner and cleaner. And also, a full body workout in just 30 minutes, and all memberships include fitness training. You get all of this. Keep this in mind, all this for $10 a month. That's right. Your fitness is essential, so head on down to Planet Fitness right now.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White & Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
Hey, guys, when it comes to your pet, don't settle. Give your pet the best. Premier Pet Supply, hands down, Michigan's best pet store. Family owned and operated for over 30 years. 13 Metro Detroit locations, over 60 brands of food at the lowest prices available. Even have curbside delivery. So give your pet the best. Get to Premier Pet Supply. You can do it online at premierpetsupply.com.
Welcome back to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. Today it's just myself and Maz. Special guest Bill Keenan is in the studio. Gotta love the Hammer. Love when the Hammer comes through. 100%. She comes through. She takes over the show as she is the party, and she knows that. I keep forgetting that she was here in the beginning like that. I met Jen when I was playing on the sidelines. I tell the story all the time. She was the first major interview I had after a big game.
Wow.
Like she interviewed me after a Western Michigan game. I had 2 touchdowns. She interviewed me. I'm like, yes, I'm on TV. And now I'm doing, right side by side, so it's always cool.
I'm pretty sure that she was the first or one of the first women
I was
in
about
sports
to say,
radio.
1,000%.
Yeah. 94.
We were talking about 97. Barry goes for 2000. Doesn't start the year off right. Starts the year off. The team's not looking right. Allegedly, they have a meeting. They say, hey, what's the issue? Give the ball to Barry Sanders. Is that kind of what happened into that 2000? Or take us through that, Bill, because you were on boots on ground.
Essentially, it was because, and the other thing that happened was the evolution of the offense. Bobby Ross believed in a fullback, in front of the running back.
Tommy Vardell.
Touchdown Tommy Vardell, right?
Those are Barry's touchdowns.
Then it led to Corey Schlesinger. It was like Vardell to Schlesinger.
And that wasn't Barry. And Barry had, ironically, 53 yards in the first 2 games.
Wow.
Amazing.
Finished with 2,000 the last 14.
That's amazing.
So the players knew, B, you can't fool the locker room. You can't fool the players. They know what's best. And when you're talking about guys that had been in the league, that were veteran, they knew what the team needed. So there was a meeting of the minds, and, perhaps reluctantly, Bobby Ross relented a little bit. And Frank Falks was the running back coach, a really good guy. And then Barry took off. And, we were talking, I want to go back a couple years, but Jen mentioned that 94 was her first year covering the team. Well, I don't know if you remember this, but we go, the last game of the year is in Miami on Christmas Day, okay? And we were in the playoffs, okay, already. But obviously you want to win that game for a better seeding. But Barry also had a chance for 2,000 in that game. He was 100 and maybe 80 or 90.
Right.
But it was nothing Barry couldn't accomplish, right? So I'll share this with you. So, and it was on ESPN. And the promo we did.
He was 117 yards away.
There you go. So the promo we did was, and Fred Goodally, who produced Monday Night Football for years, one of the great in the Broadcasting Hall of Fame.
He does Amazon now.
Yeah, exactly. Produced an open for that game, and they had a camera the previous weeks focus on just Barry's feet. And then they interspliced it with Gregory Hines, the tap dancer, the great dancer.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And
tap,
it was,
tap.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
I bet.
And but what I had done for that game, unbeknownst to all but a couple people, was I had a friend who owned a printing sporting goods store print up 100 T-shirts, for the whole team, hopefully. And it said Barry Christmas, 2,000 yards, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
now,
wow.
we never got to use them. So
At 97, that's the headline, Barry Christmas.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
So then
I have it at home, I know.
There you go. So then 3 years later, at halftime it wasn't looking like it. But the interesting part of that game, there was a lot. The week before, remember, we had to beat Minnesota to still be alive for the playoffs. And Herman caught that last second
Before the
touchdown
Jet game,
pass.
you're talking.
Pardon me?
Before the Jets game,
Yes,
you're talking.
the week before, just to stay alive.
Yeah.
We win that game. So the Jets game was effectively a playoff game.
Sure was.
They had to win to get in. We had to win to get in. And I'll tell you, we had the A crew from NBC for that game.
Yeah, Dick Enberg.
And so we did the production meeting probably on Friday of that week. And we wrap up the production meeting, and the coach and whomever, the producer, director, all leaving. And Dick goes, Billy, hold on a second. Of course. So we're in the room alone, and he pulls something out of his briefcase, and it's in like a plastic bag, and it looks like a chin strap. And I go, what is that? He goes, Bobby Lane's chin strap.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
He got it at a game his father took him to in the 50s.
Wow.
How cool was that?
How great.
And to have Dick, who grew up in Armada, right?
Yep.
You know, do
Big
the game.
Michigan guy. CMU.
Yeah. But that game, what some, I'm sure, obviously will remember, it was such a unique day and, you know, chilling in many respects. But early in that game, in the first quarter, there was a fan about 20 rows behind our bench that had a heart attack that ultimately was fatal.
Oh.
And he had to be transported through the field.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And, you know,
I forgot about that.
Oh, it was so sad. So the quickest way to get him to the ambulance
is down and out.
And remember, the ambulance came into
play
on
the field
for
Reggie.
Yeah. But the game was back and forth, and you know, you're going against Bill Parcells, obviously
defensive coordinator for the current Lions, Aaron
Glenn, who was a great player.
Yeah.
And it was just back and forth, and that was the game. Well, Neil O'Donnell was a quarterback, backed away from center 2 or 3 times because he couldn't hear. Robert Porcher contests to this day that he felt the turf moving underneath him. Wow. It was indescribably loud.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was right there with you.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And so Barry, you know, kept chipping away. We kept chipping away. We had a big interception in the end zone, Bryant Westbrook, and it was off a halfback
University
pass.
of Texas.
Yeah. And if there was replay back then,
we wouldn't have had it.
We wouldn't have had it, honestly.
And Parcells and Belichick are on the sidelines.
How about that?
I forgot Belichick was on that team.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And then
as quiet as it was for Reggie, deathly quiet.
Yes.
It was off the charts when Barry got the long run to put it way over.
And it was the scene that I'll never forget. There were many that day, but when Kevin Glover and Johnny Morton ran into the tunnel to get the gurney, to get the stretcher, and literally ran it out on. I mean, chills to this day. How can you not? And Reggie's life was saved on that turf, literally, figuratively, in every way.
Was it similar to the DeMar Hamlin situation where they gave him CPR to revive him in the time and then take him to the hospital?
And to think about this team that's already had a fatality in their life with Chuck Hughes, it's
in the Mike Utley
Mike Utley, and then Eric Andelsek gets run over in front of his own home. I mean, all the tragedy that is with this team and all the stuff that they had to overcome to get to where we are now.
No doubt.
I mean, this is as close to that team as you can get. Because those Lion teams, 95, 97, those were great teams.
Yeah. I think the one team I can't go without mentioning is Jim Caldwell's first year.
2014. Great team.
Great team.
Great team.
Defense was dominant.
Phenomenal.
And the offense was more than good.
And we were robbed.
And you think about that
Dallas Cowboys
sequence.
game.
Yeah.
You think about that sequence. We go to Dallas. Everybody believes we should have, could have, would have won the game. Okay. Dallas goes to where? Green Bay.
And then Dallas had a situation.
Right on the goal line.
It's called karma.
Okay.
Then Green Bay had a situation.
Green Bay goes to Seattle, is up by 16 points
Yep.
in the second half.
Yes.
A trick play on a field goal attempt gets them a touchdown. Onside kick, the Packers botch it. Seattle wins in overtime.
I know.
Javon Curse.
Yes, and to finish the story, Seattle goes to the Super Bowl.
And they lose.
Guess what they didn't
throw an
do?
interception.
They didn't hand the ball off.
Yep.
to
That
Marshawn.
is amazing.
Think about that. And we all play that game.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's how close the lines were. And I will contend to this day, the reason why we didn't keep that going in that direction was we didn't retain Ndamukong Suh.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because
we talked about it a million times.
He was the
100%.
most dominant defensive player, and he was never, in my opinion, I say this respectfully, never the same when he left Detroit.
The way we talk about all the time,
He
and I
cried
agree
on
with
the
you.
podium.
I agree with you 100%. What it is, the difference in Ndamukong Suh being where Aaron Donald was, is the trust, the respect, and they kept it going. Like with the St. Louis Rams, then became the Los Angeles Rams, where they saw Aaron Donald, they knew he was a dominant force, need to have it. We're going to do whatever we can to make it happen for him. Regardless of what comes out, what little things, or he said this, or he did this, or he hit somebody with a helmet, so what? We'll figure it out. When in Ndamukong, it was kind of like, All right, we're going to ignore the fact that he was all-pro as a rookie. We're going to ignore the fact how dominant he was in that 4-year stretch. We're going, you know what? Well, we got Calvin and Matt. And then he never felt, like, to your point, if he would have been protected, if they would have just shown him that love, if they would have shown him, like, yo, we appreciate you being the enforcer for the Lions. You do what you do. Don't worry. You're going to be a Detroit Lion. Now you get Aaron Donald numbers. Now you get Aaron Donald type situation. His first 4 years, he was all-pro.
Yeah, no, and I will believe to this, forever, that all we had to do was make Ndamukong the highest paid defensive player, even for a day. And the other thing that I don't know how prevalent it is now, all these years later, but he was not obsessed with leaving town, like some suggest.
People say
he wanted to stay and play for Jim Caldwell.
His sister built roots here. Ingham. I love Ingham.
Yeah.
Built his philanthropic endeavors, the charity side of things that they were doing. They were boots on ground in the community.
Right.
He was doing it through her because he's a quiet, shy guy. But he was doing it through her. He definitely wanted to be here.
He did.
He just didn't get that love. And when you don't get that love, then it turns into, here's the middle finger. I'm going to go get a couple Super Bowls and just go elsewhere.
Well, here's at the end of that game, in the press box, he cried.
He was in tears.
He was
podium.
A big man like that crying. A guy that's kicking Evan Dietrich Smith or stepping on you or biting you or whatever.
That was on
crying.
Thanksgiving, too.
Yeah, that guy, he was hungry.
Yeah.
But that guy wanted to be here.
He did,
and
no doubt.
They effed it up, as always.
And when you lose a player of that magnitude,
it's a trick.
It's
a domino effect. You're replacing him,
Yeah.
and you can't use the cap money to replace a position that needed it just as much. So,
yeah, but luckily they don't have that problem now with the Detroit Lions. It seems like they are headed in the right direction. It seems like they want to protect our players. So let's take a quick break. Let's hear from the Hamlin Pub, and let's get into this current Detroit Lions team because they got a lot to play for.
You got it.
Have you ever wanted a bar where you're a regular? Well, we have just a place for you. Head to one of Hamlin Pub's 7 locations and experience where everyone's a regular. Whether you're enjoying half-off pizza on Thursdays or game day specials available during all Michigan sports and NFL games, Hamlin Pub is the place for you. Visit a location today and experience your new favorite pub for all things sports.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an all-expenses-paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament for you and 5 of your best buds. That's right, college basketball's most elite event. You and your 5 best friends just get to any Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically register to win the trip of your dreams. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
How would you like to win a $100K Vegas getaway? Take your friends and live it in a city that never sleeps. It's the Centron Energy Drink It and Live It sweepstakes. Purchase a 24-pack today and enter for your chance to win. Register at drinkcentron.com/Vegas and buy Centron at your local Myers store. It's Centron, the healthier energy drink with great taste. Look good, feel great, and be the best version of yourself. Once again, that website, drinkcentron.com/Vegas.
Welcome back. Matt got so excited, got so ahead of myself thinking about the Lions and the upcoming game against the Green Bay Packers. Bill Keenan's is here. Jen just left. I forgot about Skinny Butcher, my man Alex, man. Intern Alex
here. We had
here.
to move him up today because of Scott Mitchell.
He's in the studio.
Yep, we had to move him up.
Good to see you back in the studio. Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Great. It's Michigan, Ohio State week. This is the week we live for all season long. we've had this day circled on our calendar for 365 days when we face it off against the Buckeyes again.
Tell me about this. So, with everything going on, obviously, your take on Michigan in the game yesterday. We can make this quick because we really want to hear about Ohio State. What was your take on Michigan? They win by 7, didn't necessarily look their best. What's your quick take on it?
I think it's a human reaction. Maryland, it's not a very hype game. It's sandwiched in between two massive games with Penn State, Ohio State. Michigan's going to come out not looking that sharp without Harbaugh there. Get out to a big league, fell asleep behind the wheel, but then, pulled it out. So.
Yeah, I agree
Just
with you.
like last year against Illinois.
100% against Illinois. University of Michigan struggled. They actually had to use Jake Moody to hit a field goal to win the game last year to even get to the Ohio State game. Let's talk about the game. It's the game. It's here. I've played in it. I know what it feels. What's the energy like on campus right now? Because it's home this year. What's that energy like right now on campus?
Oh, the energy is unrivaled from anything I've seen since I've gone to Michigan. Like, even compared to 2021, it is way higher. Since we beat them, we breaking the drought. It's top 3 matchup this year, all or nothing with all the scandals going on and stuff. It's sky-high tension right now around Ann Arbor.
How soon do you have to get to the student section?
Me personally, I'm planning on getting there when the gates open. So I'll be there 2 hours prior to kickoff, get the good seats, get up front, get loud, hopefully causing offsides myself.
Good boy. I want to ask you about all the shows that are out there. You've got NFL Game Day. College Game Day with ESPN.
Boycott.
Let's boycott that one. They hate us. And then you got the Barstool one. That's on, I forgot what street that one is on. And then you have the one we want you to go to.
Big Noon Kickoff.
And go say hi to
Sponsored
Brady
by
Quinn.
Fox.
Are you going to any of those tailgates?
I am personally not. I've been to 3 of those pregame shows in my life, and the teams I'm rooting for are 0-3 while I'm there. So I'm boycotting it for life.
Stay away.
Can't risk it. Can't risk it this week.
Good idea, man.
Speaking of not risking it this week, obviously it's a game. It's Ohio State. It's Michigan. If anything, what are you nervous about with this game? And can't say Jim Harbaugh not being on the sideline. What is it about Ohio State that makes you nervous?
I mean, Ohio State comes down their arsenal of pass catchers. You have Marvin. Everyone knows about him. Then Igbuka. Stover's had a great season, one of the best ends in the country. After last week, that was the first top 80 passing offense Michigan's faced all season. And then Ohio State's even better than that. So hopefully Michigan's coverage can go down, stop the quick passes, prevent the deep ball, and really keep the big plays in front of them.
Now, usually the running game decides this game.
Yeah.
Michigan, one of the better, in the past, they've been one of the better running games. Ohio State's running game this year is down. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's down because they're a two-handed monster. Usually it was Mayan Williams, Travion Henderson. This year it's more so just Travion Henderson. I mean, his stats kind of mirror Blake Corum.
I think they're 8th in the Big Ten.
But this is a down year for Blake Corum as well, so their stats are kind of almost mirrored. What do you think about the offensive line? Because obviously last couple weeks it looks like they struggled a little bit. Even in the Penn State game, they struggled in the passing game, hence why they went to the run. Are you confident in this offensive line going against this Ohio State defense?
I am more nervous than I have been for any game this season. It's been a rough 2 weeks for Carson Barnhart.
Yeah.
Miles Hinton was playing great last week before he went down. So I really hope I know Sharon Moore said he's fully healthy to go, but I hope he's back there. Because the thing is, when it's Michigan-Ohio State, it's a game, not a game of analytics, it's a game of manlytics, and it's one in the trenches.
Analytics.
I have a great stat for you. Since 2000, there's only been one time the team with less rushing yards has won the Michigan-Ohio State game, and that was Michigan in the year 2000. So we really need to figure out how to get it going up front, be able to lighten up the box and maybe get some outside runs going with Samaj and JJ, and then really let Corum and Edwards be able to get working downhill on Ohio State.
Let me ask you this, Alex. Be honest. If Michigan, if they don't win this game, are the last bunch of years wiped away because of the controversy?
No way they're wiped away. We still won the game on the field. We don't know really how much anything really happened, but no way the last few years were wiped away if we lose this game.
Well, that's the way they're gonna be spinning it.
Oh, that's the way they'll say it, but we all know Ohio State fans are stupid. So.
Well, yeah, we got that. And then how about their coach, Ryan Day? If they lose this game to Michigan, do you think Ryan Day survives?
I do think Ryan Day survives. I think Gene Smith is one of the best athletic directors in college football and college sports.
He's on his way out now.
He's on his way out, but I think Ryan Day, this will be his 7th career loss. You can't fire a coach with only 7 losses in 5 seasons, I think. So I think he ultimately survives.
I've seen it happen. His name was Gary Cooper. I would tell you like this. John Cooper, excuse me. I'll tell you like this. If Michigan loses to Ohio State, I think the wheels fall off the program. And this is say what you want to. I've said this. Michigan has to win it all in my estimation, for the things to stay the same. If they win it all, War Manual stays. Jim Harbaugh stays. NCAA is not going to go after a team that just wins the national championship to try to take the national championship back. If they lose a game, they're not going to the playoff, which means it all falls off. So they have to win it all, in my estimation. Just me. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But if they win, we don't have to worry about that, do we?
No.
J.J. McCarthy, where are you at with him?
Oh, boy.
Obviously, last game. Hasn't been his best 3 games. Sharon Moore, he's not necessarily the best with J.J. McCarthy. If you look back to the Bowling Green game, where are you at with J.J. McCarthy after the first half, the second half, and going into Saturday?
So both this year and last year, we've seen J.J. fall off a little bit in November, and I'm really hoping that's not like a weather effect. So it's gonna be frigid cold on Saturday in Michigan Stadium. However, I want Sharon Moore to really find a way to get him going early with some confidence. I mean, Ohio State's linebackers are not good in coverage, so find a way to get Donovan out in some halfback angles or swing passes. Let those tight ends get out there, or like really figure out the mismatches that make JJ feel confident, and then use his legs a little, get him running out there to really help Bill's confidence. And
what are those things that make JJ feel comfortable? Like, what are the things? Because I can see.
I think I know.
Man,
Jim Harbaugh on the sidelines.
Come on, man.
And he's not there. And I think that is a big factor for this kid.
So we'll go to Maz on this. So you think Michigan's going to lose this Saturday?
I've been telling you that for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
Since they've given up and said, all right, we'll settle, blah, 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 I feel that the team has lost an edge. I just believe that those kids were playing for Harbaugh, playing for him. But now that Michigan did what they did, the other teams are looking at them saying, see, we got you. We knew you guys were cheating. We knew this. We knew that. And I just don't think the team is the same. Now, it's only been 2 games. Yeah. It's only been 2 games. They beat a Penn State team that I think was overrated, and they beat a bad Maryland team. This team, Ohio State, might not be their best team, but they're pretty damn good.
Why are you confident that Michigan can win this game?
So I think Michigan is going to come out. I think they're going to come out angry this week. I think with all the drama, with all the rumors that it came from Ohio State initially with Ryan Dayton, the PI firm, I think they're going to come out angry for Harbaugh, especially with the suspension. I think they're better in the trenches, and I think Jesse Minter is going to have an absolute masterclass of a game as a defensive coordinator. Get great pressure on McCord, make him make some errant throws, and keep the big plays in front of them. And that's why I think the Wolverines will win on Saturday.
All right, intern Alex, last thing we will say from you. Give me a prediction on the score, and you got to give me player of the game.
All right, I think this game is going to look a lot more like a Jim Tressel, Lloyd Carr type of game.
Ooh, I know those guys.
Oh, yeah. You're very familiar.
Speaking of those guys.
I think 24-13 Michigan is my final score, and I'm going to make a bold play with my player of the game prediction. I'm going to go with Kenneth Grant in a 2-sack game.
Ooh. Kenneth Grant, 2 sacks. 24-13. I like the sound of that. I hope you're right.
I like it.
What
I hope he's
there,
right. You mentioned Jim Tressel and Lloyd Carr. Check this out. This is from the 100th game. Speaking of that, this is the one I wore. Wow. And again, we showed it yesterday, but it still was in my bag. I don't know why I didn't take it out yet, but here it is. So you mentioned Jim Tressel and Lloyd Carr. Those are my memories of that. My man, intern Alex here with Skinny Butcher.
Nice
man,
job,
we appreciate
kid.
you.
Thanks so much.
When you heading back up?
I'm heading back up Friday night.
Okay. You hanging down here for a little bit?
Yeah, hanging out.
Supposed to be up there partying, man. I guess that's what Friday
night is.
Have a happy
Thanksgiving, Alex.
Will do. You too.
Happy Thanksgiving, you
Go
too.
Blue. Go Blue.
We appreciate intern Alex. We'll give you a word from Feldman, and then also top of the hour, Dan Miller, Fox 2. We'll get a chance to talk about these Detroit Lions. Finally, this current team. But first, a message from Feldman. That's right. Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer. There are 18 locations around the metropolitan Detroit area. That means there's one in your backyard. All you got to do is go to feldmanauto.com. You'll figure it out. Since 1996. That's right. I always forget that part. But anyway, since 1996, Feldman Automotive has been driven to provide a fast, convenient, first-class car buying experience. It's called the Feldman Advantage. So do yourself a favor. Don't stutter like me. Take advantage.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, September 13th.
Join now at any Metro Detroit location. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Gabby is a college student struggling to study for her big exam. Then she discovered Syntron, a healthy way for her to stay awake and focus. Jennifer frequently has chaotic days like this until she gets online, orders some Syntron, and finds her groove. April visited her local grocery store, purchased a case of Syntron, and entered to win the Syntron 100K Vegas giveaway. Pick up your case of Syntron today at any Meijer location or visit drinksyntron.com/Vegas and enter for the 100K Vegas giveaway.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com. Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Hey guys, how about it? Let's talk about Outdoor Equipment Co., official equipment provider of Woodward Sports. Michigan-grown, family-owned, bad boy mowers, tractor-style, handhelds, and even weed whippers. Liberty trailers, Generac generators, the Snow X plows, and salters. Outdoor Equipment Co. has it all. Buy it, rent it, 0% financing. Can't beat that. Delivered to your doorstep. OutdoorEquipCo.com.
To your doorstep. I like that one, Maz. Welcome back. It's Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. Ryan Ermanni won't be with us today. He's enjoying his vacation, as you should. My brother Bill Keenis is in studio with us talking about the Detroit Lions. Dan Miller to join us very soon. We'll get to him shortly. But, you know what? I think we might have Dan on the phone. I was going to ask you about the game last week, but instead I can ask my good friend Dan Miller, Fox 2, the voice of the Detroit Lions. Dan, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm all right, Braylon. What's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm sitting in the big boy chair today, man. So no Ryan. So I'm filling in. So you got to give me some critique after the show.
Hey, we got Bill Keenis in the house too, Dan.
Hey, Dan.
I couldn't get to that.
My guy. What's up, Bill?
Dan, let's jump into last week real quick. And I wrote a question down. After last game's win, I got to read it because it's a good one. After last game's win, are you more excited with a great win and how they were resilient and put it off? Or are you almost like, hey, fellas, it's a little too close for my comfort? What side do you lie on?
Can I say both?
Yeah, you
I
can.
mean, look, it was not a great game by any means. They made a lot of mistakes, offensively, defensively. There were issues, and with 4 minutes to go, it certainly didn't look like they were going to win it. But when you walk out of a stadium with a win, you're never going to complain about that, because the reality of it is, whether they won that game or lost that game, they were going to go back to Allen Park on Monday and try to figure out how to fix all the problems that they had. And it's a heck of a lot better to go back after a win and do that than it is to try to do it off a loss. So look, you find a way to win every game you can possibly win. You don't run from your mistakes. You attack your mistakes, and you attack your weaknesses and your red flags. And I think that's what they'll do. So look, there's no sugarcoating what happened in that game. There were some issues. But, man, anytime you can find a way to win, you do it. And that's the sign, I think, of this being a different team than maybe some we've seen in the past, is they have a way of figuring it out.
I agree with you 100%, man. Being in that situation, like you, around this time, you get to November, you get to December, you're just happy if you get wins, especially against a divisional opponent. What was something that you can pull from that game, Dan? You're watching that game, you're like, But I guess you just said it like that, or that performance, or that player, that thing where even with the game, how it played out, you're like, that was it. I love that. I love to see that. I loved his performance.
You know what? I would say a couple things. Number one, I think just what we talked about was just their ability to bounce back, their resilience. The fact that this team just, they're gaining that ability, whether it's their offense is off, their defense is off, whatever it is, they're gaining that ability to just figure out a way to win. And again, that's what good teams do. But what kind of jumped out at me late in that game, Braylon, was they take over in the final 2:33, whatever it was there, and they still ran the ball. If you look at that final 75-yard drive, 29 yards, I believe it was on the ground. And that's just the faith they have in this, and the confidence they have in this offensive line, and in these two running backs that they have. And to have balance in the final 150 seconds is a pretty incredible thing. And they popped a couple of those for good yardage as well. So as I was watching that, I think your first reaction is, man, you're handing off. And then boom, you see Montgomery or Gibbs churn it up and get 8 or 10 yards, and you realize, okay, there's a method to this. And it was impressive the way they finished that game off. But I think it's indicative of where this team is right now. They have a balance that we haven't seen around here in a long, long time. And those backs are explosive, and they can make big plays at any time.
You're not kidding, Dan. I thought it was the game of the year. And to me, that win I think it meant more than even beating Kansas City. And I know beating Kansas City, the Super Bowl champs, was great. They were in that game the whole time. They kind of controlled that game. This one, they just were not themselves, and the Bears took advantage of it. But let's put that in the rearview mirror as you look forward to the Thanksgiving Day game, where they've lost 6 in a row now. And that ends. That's got to end. And 22 times now they will have played the Packers on Thanksgiving. They actually have a winning record against Green Bay on Thanksgiving. 12-8-1, which is great. Green Bay comes in banged up. Lions, Jonah Jackson's out right now, but they're pretty healthy.
No, they are, and I think they have proven on that. Look, you want Jonah in there. He's a big part of everything they do. But I think they've proven on that offensive line that they can endure a couple of injuries and go next man up, and they can find a way to get it done. I mean, still, when you have Ragnow and then Sewell and Decker on the outside, you're well set. And Glasgow's a veteran and a heck of a player, and they're fully confident in him. And Sorsdahl has figured it out, man. He's a rookie now, getting some big, high leverage snaps in critical situations. And just to project a little bit, they got a decision to make with Jonah at the end of the year. They may not be able to afford to bring him back, so you're getting an indication of whether or not Sorsdahl might be able to handle that job going forward. So, look, I don't want to see Jonah go anywhere, but there's a reality to the fact that you're already paying Decker, you're already paying Ragnow, you're going to pay Panay. So there's a question of what might happen with Jonah there. So, look, I want to see what Green Bay's injury report looks like when it comes out today. I haven't seen it yet, but see who's in, who's out. I mean, there's 17 guys on that injury report. There's
Aaron Jones
going on with them. Yeah, Aaron Jones doesn't look like he's going to play. I think it's an MCL sprain or whatever it is, but and that's unfortunate for them because he's obviously a big-time player and a big-time playmaker. But look, it's an amazing day in the city of Detroit, and to have an NFC North team in there is cool. I'm looking for a win just as much as anybody. I looked it up. My record's 4-14 since I've been in the booth. So I'm looking to improve on that here if I possibly can.
We got you, man. We got you. Don't you worry. We had Wayne Larrivee on yesterday, your counterpart in Green Bay. So, Bill Keenis, what do you got for us?
Wayne's a good dude.
Well, just going back to last week's game, a lot of great teams that went the whole way, had games like that during the season. And I think that game will have an impact the rest of the year. Subliminal in some respects, but you can be guaranteed Dan Campbell is going to remind guys of that game and how the team came back. And the players are going to know that. And, unless they're in the lead of every game the rest of the year, which is, improbable at best, they're going to be able to draw from that and what they did and how they did it. So I think aside from it just being a win, which is the most important thing by far, the way they won it will help them for the balance of the season and hopefully into the playoffs.
No doubt. That's what I said.
I agree with that. And I think, Bill, every time you get a win, you put it in your back pocket and it's experience. And I think you can talk about going to Kansas City and winning, going down to Tampa Bay and winning, being in Los Angeles when you give up touchdowns on the final 5 possessions of the game and still finding a way to win that game. And then, that game where you did so many things that put you in a bad spot, yet you come from 12 down in the final 4 minutes. There's no doubt. And in particular, look up and down this depth chart, how many rookies, second-year players, third-year players there are who can take a game like that, and the next time they're up against it, say, you know what, we've overcome before, we can overcome again. So I don't think there's any question that it is not only huge in terms of the standings and getting a win, because they'd have been a half game up on Minnesota going into that Viking game on Sunday night if they'd have lost that. That would have been a pretty bad feeling. Now you're 2.5 up because the Vikings lost as well. So there's a lot of reasons that was a big win.
Yeah, it's crazy. We were talking about before the season started, talking to the voice of the Detroit Lions radio, Dan Miller. We were talking about before the season, it was all AFC. This AFC team, that AFC team, this AFC team, this quarterback, that quarterback. Now it seems to come down to the top 4 teams in the NFL might be all NFC teams and maybe the Kansas City Chiefs. Just talk about where the Lions are in the fold, man. 8-2, 10 games, and they're number 2 in the league. Not the NFC. They're number 2 in the league right now. Got to feel good.
Well, I mean, Braylon, it just tells you, and look, man, you live the life. It just tells you how fragile these things are when you're looking at Cincinnati or Kansas City and the seasons that they're having, and they never thought that they would be in this position. Look, nobody thought the Texans would be here fighting for a playoff spot. So, I mean, we think we know things at the beginning of the year, and maybe we do. Maybe we knew Philadelphia would be good or knew San Francisco would be good. I don't think anybody knew San Francisco would lose 3 in a row at some point.
Yeah.
But things happen, and seasons change, and rosters change, and guys don't have the year that maybe you thought that they would. But you find a way to endure, and I think that's what the Lions have done. I mean, look, guys, we're getting a pretty good sample size here. If you go back to last season in October, they're 16-4 in their last 20. I mean, that's a good sample size that's indicative of where this team is right now. They've put together a heck of a string here, and they're winning games in a lot of different fashions. And look, I still think you got to look at San Francisco and Philadelphia because they're battle-tested, have been to the postseason, and they've done it. Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell will be the first guys to tell you they haven't done anything. They haven't won a division title. They haven't even played in a playoff game. So it's get yourself in position to challenge those teams and then do it. And I think the best way to do that is obviously to get the highest seed that you possibly can. But I think, to your point, there's not one team in this league right now that you would say the Lions are going to take the field against and you wouldn't feel like they have a chance to win. Not one. Okay. And I think that's just the respect that they've earned right now from all of us and from people around the league. They're that good. And it doesn't mean they can't get better. Doesn't mean that there aren't concerns. But I think everybody's got them.
Hey, Dan, going into this last stretch of games, his last 7 games of the season after last week, what is something that you want to see the Lions improve at? Or what is something that you want to see moving forward from the Detroit Lions that will give you even more of a sense that, oh, yeah, this is going to be a really, really, really great end to a season? What is that thing?
I want to see other guys win in the pass rush. I want to see other guys. Look, Aleem, when he is rushing the passer, this is a different team because you're getting that pressure up the middle. He is a critical guy if he can do that. The other guy, and we've talked about him a number of times, for me is Pascal. Made a big play in that game last week. Yeah. He's a really talented guy who's just got to stay on the field, continue to develop. But to me, over the last 7 games, he could be kind of a wild card that could provide this team with a pass rush from the interior or on the end, whatever he plays, that might be able to make a difference. But look, I think we've seen what can happen when you give a quarterback in this league, and it doesn't matter if it's Geno Smith or Justin Herbert or whoever it is, or even Fields to some degree, when you give a quarterback time and space, these guys are all good enough to beat you and make you pay. And I think that winning with 4 up front, to me, becomes critical as they move forward, because I think that changes the dynamic of who they are. When that defense can get off the field and hand the ball back to this offense, which we know can march up and down against pretty much anybody, man, that's really going to be tough to beat. But it's got to be something in my mind that improves with this team. That's one of the biggest things right now that I'm looking at, because the back end gets better when the front end gets better.
100%.
And that's where I think they need to improve.
Hey, Dan, looking ahead to the rest of the schedule, we know the Dallas Cowboys, a Saturday night game. There's a TBA with the Denver Broncos, and I'm hearing that might be a Saturday game. I even read Adam Schefter the other day, and I think he might have maybe made a mistake, or maybe he let something out of the bag that it could be a Monday night game. Do you see?
Well, I think
what do you see prime time?
He was talking about the Dallas game, I think, when he listed the Monday night games, and I think that is the ESPN crew on a Saturday night. And I think that's why he listed that Dallas
that's great. We get Joe Buck on a Saturday night. I love that.
I think that's what it's going to end up being, because I don't think there's a Monday night game that week, but because I think it's January 1st. But
the day before, actually.
It's
the
30th.
I
think the Monday night is January 1st. I think the Lions will play on the 30th.
The 30th.
The bulk of the league will play on the 31st, and then I don't believe, if I'm not mistaken, there's a game that on New Year's Eve.
Probably not.
New Year's Day night.
Probably
but
not.
Look, you got 7 games left. 4 of them are against division opponents.
Yep.
So you got 2 against Minnesota. You got Green Bay again, obviously, coming up, and you got to go to Chicago. So to win this division, you're going to have to beat the teams you have to beat. So I think there's something to be said there. And then fill it out with New Orleans and Dallas and Denver. And it's anybody can beat you. You just found that out against the Bears. I mean, the Bears aren't a bad team. They're a heck of a lot better than they were at the beginning of the season. But to me, what stands out is those 4 divisional games, the teams that are your biggest rivals, the teams that want nothing more than to beat you and try to make your season a little bit less than what you're hoping it is. 2 games against Minnesota. The Vikings are obviously still playing really tough. I think Kevin O'Connell's done a heck of a job there.
Yes.
So that's kind of what jumps out at me, is just you're going to have to win this division and get that first ever home playoff game at Ford Field. You're going to have to earn it against the teams that ultimately you're beating in the standings.
I'll tell you this, just take the points. So right now, I'm telling you, both games against the Vikings, because all they do is play 1-score games. That's all that team does for 2 years now. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, I mean, I give them a lot of credit. I mean, I think a lot of us, when Kirk Cousins went down, we thought, that's it, they're toast. And then they're playing without Justin Jefferson, too. But, man, they're still finding a way. That was a gut-wrenching loss for them against Denver.
Should have won.
But I didn't see them continuing to win without Cousins, but they've done it. And look, you go into a game against Minnesota, you better be ready to earn it. A, that's a really tough place to play. B, they still got some dogs in there on defense that can make you pay. So it's, again, just keep winning, man, because you got to just earn this thing. And we all know where we want to go and what we want to see in January, but they're going to have to earn it in November, what's left of it, and then December.
In the words of Al Davis, win, baby, win. So I'm dating myself. Kevin O'Connell was a young practice squad player when I was with the Jets, and now he's a head coach for the Minnesota Vikings. We love you over here, Dan. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Your family, and go Lions, right?
Amen. Appreciate you guys. Can't wait till tomorrow. It's always electric, and it's a fantastic way to spend the holiday. I hope you, all your viewers and listeners, have a fantastic Thanksgiving as well, and we'll talk to all you guys soon.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye, Barry. You seen it?
See you there. Thanks, guys.
All right.
I watched it last night. That was fun.
There it is. That's the great Dan Miller, voice Lions Radio. And who's better than Dan?
He's a good man.
Who's better than Dan?
I'll tell you, but it was
4-14. We got to do something about that, though.
I know. He's on his way up.
We got to help him.
They were close. Their record right now in Thanksgiving overall is 37, 44-2. They've lost 6 in a row. So they were close to getting over the hump. Yeah. And then they had a bad streak started by Matt Patricia and his crew. And it's going to change now. It's going to change.
Well, we're going to have some fun. You know what, Maz? How about you want to go around the info, or you want to do a top 10 Wednesday?
Sounds good. Whatever you want to do, we do.
Sounds like a plan to me. But first, let's get a message from Swiss.
All right. Yes. Do you have football on the brain? Of course you do. Shout out JB. Fall ushers in college and professional football, and this year has been awesome. Fall is also a perfect time to shop your home and auto insurance. Shop it like a pro with Swiss Insurance. They cover Woodward Sports Network, and they should be covering you too. Ask for Mark at Swiss Insurance today at swissins.com or call 248-800-4177. Again, that is 248-800-4177, Swiss Insurance.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Savor the heart of home at Big Boy with our all-new down-home comfort dishes. Feast on home-style goodness with our Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl, veal parmigiana, and apple pie hotcakes. The down-home delight doesn't stop there. Potato pancakes are back. Dive into the richness of our perfectly crafted potatoes with our classic potato pancakes and our stuffed potato pancakes. Top off your meal with our new gingerbread shake, a seamless blend of creamy vanilla and sweet gingerbread flavors. Nothing beats the comforting taste of down-home cooking. Enjoy every bite, only at Big Boy.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Join Woodward Sports and Long Drink Lions VIP Tailgate, BullseyeEventGroup.com. Get your tickets today, BullseyeEventGroup.com. Come on down, Shed 5 Easter Market. It's the best tailgate going. You got all the tailgates going on around Easter Market. Then you have Shed 5. You go inside. They have drinks. They have food. You got great people. But you got to remember, when the game starts, the tailgate is over. You must disperse and go hang out elsewhere. But from 9:30 and then to 12:30, actually, because tomorrow the game starts at 12:30. So go get your tickets, BullseyeEventGroup.com. We'll be down at Woodward Sports. You never know who you'll see. Welcome back, Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, a.k.a. Bill Keenest over there having a damn good time as well. It's a fun show, man. We had the Hammer pop up, Dan Miller, Bill Keenest has been great. You had intern Alex.
Look at this weekend we got.
Still rocking and rolling. Still got Scott Mitchell, former Lions quarterback, coming up at 3:35, so you don't want to miss that. We'll talk to him about his career and what he's up to these days. But first, we got a top 5. We got 2 top 5 Wednesdays, man.
Let's go.
So the first top 5 we'll do is the top 5 Lions Thanksgiving Day moments. We'll start with number 5, JB. Did you do it backwards? All right. Big day for Barry. What do you remember about this day, Bill Kings or Tom Mazaway?
What year is it? I can't even see.
It's the Bears.
It's the Bears.
Yeah.
So I guess Bill Kings is going first.
Billy will go first. What do you have on it? The Braylon?
You said what?
What do you have on it?
All right, well, hold up. Because I was I thought we were going to go that way. Here we go.
Every day was a big day for Barry on Thanksgiving. Most of them were awesome. And the Silverdome Thanksgiving Day games were, to me, second to none. No, the problem with Ford Field is they haven't had these moments yet that the Silverdome has had, that we've all celebrated, that why we love that team. What a great home field advantage the Silverdome was. But guess what? Ford Field, for their second year, really, 2014, or I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Three times now that Ford Field has had a chance to come out and be a home field advantage, and now it's one of the best in the NFL, Bill.
And that is critical. And I think you talk about what Dan mentioned, the pass rush, and when you get a home crowd helping the defense out to an opposing offense, and go back. And I know you both remember the game against the Bears in 2011, the Monday night game, when the Chicago got 9 false starts.
Oh, yeah. There were a lot of fights in that game in the stands. Yeah. I do remember that.
That just shows the impact the home crowd can have on a team. And getting that pass rush moving, as Dan said, helps the back end big time.
You don't remember this game, Tom Mazaway?
You have to see when you give me like a.
Hold on. We were talking earlier. You guys were reeling off everything. So you say something. You remember 167 yards, 55 to 20, 3 touchdowns.
That was a blowout. I remember that.
55 to 20. Barry had 167 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, Bill, what was that game? And this is also the same year that he rushed for 2,000 yards.
Well, that game solidified in many people's minds he's going to have a realistic shot at 2,000 yards. And Barry, I mean, we had beaten the Colts, I think, the week before. I think we put 50 on them as well.
What an offense back then.
And
Tom Moore led.
Jim Harbaugh was the quarterback of that game against the Colts.
Yay.
And they just dominated the Bears.
How good was Tom Moore as an OC?
I tell you what, I've known Tom for over 40 years. I knew him when he was back in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And what a, you hear the term whisperer.
Yeah.
He's a football whisperer. And
He always had that gum. He was always chewing that gum.
I remember the first time Wayne Fonts tried to hire him when he was named the permanent head coach in 1989. He knew Tom. And he tried to hire him, but Tom, I think, was in Pittsburgh at the time.
Okay.
We ultimately got him and, had the number 1 offense in the NFL.
And then he went and did what for Peyton?
Yeah, and he's still coaching.
Yeah.
Still coaching. It's remarkable.
He took the Lions offense and went and gave it to the Indianapolis Colts and Peyton Manning. I rest my case.
Yeah.
I rest my case.
This is true. Here's number 4 on that list. What do you guys know about a guy named Josh Sitton? A.K.A. the guy that said Scumbags Unite. This is the guy that called the Detroit Lions defense. He's radio personality with the Green Bay Packers. He called the Lions a scumbag team, talking about their defense. Well, the Lions went on to beat that team in 2013, 41.
Wasn't he talking about Ndamukong Suh in general?
He did that. This was a Schwartz defense you were talking about.
I think Suh took care of the Packers that day.
Suh's stomp was 2011.
11, yes.
But 14, we pounded them.
Yeah.
I mean, beat them bad. It might have been
13. It was 13.
13.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
41 and 10.
Yes.
41 and 10.
Yeah.
Matt Flynn was the quarterback then.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
So it's funny. Quick pivot. Matt Flynn gets the Seattle job. He gets the money. He gets paid. I actually came in the second day of training camp. They picked me up, and I never really saw Matt Flynn play. Like Pete Carroll he's coming out of college, so Pete. He loves young guys. Even now to this day, he likes to keep the younger players because he understands that whatever. Like Matt Flynn never got a chance to be the number 1 quarterback. Like when he was in Seattle, Russell was taking all the snaps with the ones if you remember in the actual preseason games, Russell was running with the ones. Matt never got a chance. So it was the easiest money I think a quarterback has ever earned.
That was the result of the final game, week 16.
400 yards.
And Matthew had a big game, and it was a shootout. Now there were 2 other things in that game that
Packers beat us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But there were 2 other things that, if you look back in our recent history here, so many things that have happened to the Lions have resulted in rule changes. Calvin Johnson.
Of course.
Jim Shorts throwing the flag on Thanksgiving. But in
the Atlanta Falcons game, the end of the game on the red zone, remember that
was
Golden Tate?
I have such a strong opinion about
that was
issue.
BS.
Well, that rule hasn't changed.
It's like that rule's like from 1931.
Well, it's the 10-second runoff, and and I've actually suggested this to the league. Okay, 10-second runoff. Now, when there's a call by the officials on the field, a penalty, it's usually called to correct an incorrect, to level the field, right?
Yep.
Okay, in that situation, we didn't have any timeouts left. The clock's winding down. Matthew throws the ball to Golden. The official indicates touchdown. We think we win the game to go 3-0, by the way. And then every play now is reviewed, every score, which also goes back to some games that we were involved in, including the one at Green Bay, okay? So what happens? They come back and they say, after further review, Golden Tate was touchdown on the 1.5 yard line. 9 seconds left, 10-second runoff, game's over. Here's my point.
Wow.
Here's my point. When a player draws a penalty, the player did wrong, even a coach. But in that case, who technically made the mistake? I'm asking you guys.
The referees.
Exactly.
The referees made a mistake. Yeah,
exactly.
I remember that.
So the official, thanks to instant replay, made the wrong call. It wasn't obviously a touchdown. So if the official blows the play dead,
it should stop dead.
And then it's incumbent upon the Lions to get to the line and
spike
run a play.
The ball or do it.
My belief is, and I've suggested this quite honestly, is that in a situation like that, when it's not a player or not a coach that makes the mistake, when it's an official, okay, there should be one on time down.
Good.
It's not fair to the teams or the coaches. And certainly that,
well said.
We win that game, we're in the playoffs. We finished one game out. So anybody
I agree. I remember watching that. I think it was the first game of the year.
No, it was the third game.
Third game of the year.
And we were 2-0 going into that game.
I actually talked about it with Pat Caputo. That's how I know it was years ago. But man, I remember that. Let's do this. We got 3 more left. Let's take a quick break. We'll do the last 3 Lions moments, and then at 3:35 we'll have Scott Mitchell join us. Because guess what? He's one of these top 5 Lion moments of all time. I know which one that is. Oh, you know which one it is. Definitely 1995.
Yep.
But first, let's get a message from Guardian Alarm.
Of course. Let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts. Our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Calls anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as
Braylon,
needed.
did you get a free
Technology
turkey?
backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people who have been proven to care. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT. That's 1-800-STAY-OUT. Guardian Alarm, your local security expert.
Stay out.
Now, coming to
These are all hot mics.
Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Calling all landscapers. This is Darren McCarty. I'm at Outdoor Equipment Co. How would you like to landscape like a legend? How about a bad boy zero turn? And even a chainsaw. And even a weed whipper. Whether you landscape for your job or landscape for fun, get all your equipment from Outdoor Equipment Co., the official equipment provider of Woodward Sports. Michigan grown, family owned. OutdoorEquipCo.com.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
All right, Les Stanford, of course. I got to get to that in just a... There it is. What happens when you run a great business for over 50 years? You expand and offer more products to more people. That is exactly what Les Stanford did by adding Les Stanford Buick GMC, the same great service that customers have come to know. On Woodward Avenue, just south of 9 Mile. Check out Les Stanford in Dearborn today and in Ferndale. Find the brand you want at lesstanford.com. lesstanford.com.
Roads.
Find them.
Gotta find them. All right, we're in the second hour of the day, almost close to getting home for Thanksgiving Eve. Are you getting wild for Thanksgiving Eve, Mass?
I'm going to Red Wings and Devils tonight. That's
not bad.
As wild as I get.
Here's the thing, who you cheering for? Because I know you're a Devils guy.
Rooting for the Wings.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about, Bill Kings. Anything special tonight, pre-Thanksgiving?
Family.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love
Good
that.
stuff.
I got the Wings tonight. I got Lions tomorrow.
That's not bad.
I got Friday, Michigan State over at Ford Field. The battle for the Land Grant Trophy. And then Saturday.
Who is that? Michigan State? Michigan Tech?
No. Michigan State and Penn State. The Land Grant Trophy. And finally,
Michigan Tech.
And finally, the game on Saturday. I will be at the big house, man. I'm not missing that.
Yeah, I understand that game. Here we go.
Are you going?
Yeah, the 2003 Big Ten Championship team is getting honored, so I'll be on the field for, when they come on, they touch the banner.
Yeah.
I'll be one of the alums out there. And then the first time out, we'll be on the field. So I may, man,
You got to come to the tailgate by Drew's house.
I will be coming over there.
All right, the little house.
I will come over there.
Right.
This is my guys. Peter Savarino.
All right.
All right, here we go. 3 more, and then we're going to get to Scott Mitchell. Can't wait. He is one of these. Which one? I can't tell you. Number 3, and then reworked it, number 2. There you go. We'll do this one. This is a good one. I can actually lead this one off. I can leave this one off because I was there and I heard it on the radio as well. So my dad used to always have two families. So my dad would pick me up from my house for Thanksgiving early, and then we would go to the Lions games. We'd probably leave halfway through the third.
Of course.
He
never stays for anything.
But my dad doesn't. So, like, that's why I don't.
Remind me to talk to Stan about this.
Hey, you can talk to him.
Because I never leave the game.
We drove straight up telegraph to and run to. So anyway, so we're watching the game. We're leaving in the third quarter. No, fourth quarter we left. We left right when it was about to be over. Get in the car and we're listening to it. We heard on the radio Tales. You can hear Tales on the radio.
Everyone hears it. Bettis called it.
You can hear Tales on the radio. It was the weirdest thing when I got home, and because I didn't have a cell phone with a picture and video and all that.
Right.
Man, I got home and was like, he called Tales like, Bill, like, Maz, either one you take. What was that about?
It was great, first of all, as a Lions fan.
Finally, that's the only thing is ever going to Lions.
It went our way. First of all, great halftime shows back in the day. We had Mariah Carey. I think Enrique Iglesias was at that particular one. But that was great.
Enrique Iglesias came to Pontiac?
Yeah, he
did.
What
was that halftime?
I don't know.
I was young.
We had Mariah Carey
drinking.
for crying out loud.
Wow, I remember
really
Mariah
big,
Carey.
popular.
Yeah.
Anyway, they mess it up. I forgot who the ref was.
Phil Luckett.
Phil Luckett. Good old Phil Luckett. Thank you,
sir.
Bill. So they mess it up. We get the ball, and first guy that scores wins.
Shakes
Right?
your hands.
You can take it from there. You were on the field.
Well, the other part of that day that you will probably perhaps remember, Aretha sang the
longest national anthem ever?
No, that was at Ford Field.
Oh,
said,
yeah.
"Oh, beautiful."
But Aretha was scheduled to sing the anthem that day. And she rehearsed about 8 o'clock that morning, and I was there, and they wheeled the piano out, beautiful rendition. So we're cueing New York. Greg Gumbel, a great guy, is doing the studio show in New York at CBS, it would have been CBS at the time. And I'm on the headset in communication to the field and to New York, to the truck. Aretha's all set. And again, the Queen of Soul, and the whole country's going to hear her sing the Star Spangled Banner. And then I get the word from the field, she's all set. I cue the truck. The truck cues Greg in New York, and Greg Gumbel live on national TV. And now let's return to Michigan, the Pontiac Silverdome, the Queen of Soul, and our Star Spangled Banner. And then she starts with the piano. Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies.
You sang the wrong song.
She totally freelanced, and we're like, that's not the anthem.
Wow.
And that's what, and it was glorious, but it wasn't the anthem.
But it wasn't.
So that was Aretha, the Queen of Soul.
And then she broke the record for the longest
national
anthem
a few
ever.
years later. But that game, the Steelers were in playoff hunt, and we were trying to find our way that year. Not a very good season, '98, and everybody, and I've always felt the immediate reaction to anything in a football game, certainly what happens on the field by the players tells the truth. And Jerome was just like, what? And Phil said, heads, tails. You said heads, tails. And then we get the kickoff, go right down the field, and Jason kicks a game-winning field goal.
Man.
But that's another example of that would never happen today because the rules changed.
Yep. Thank God they changed.
Yeah.
Both teams need the ball, and now both
Right.
teams get the ball,
Right.
unless you go down and score a touchdown or a defensive score.
Here's a funny story about Aretha Franklin, Bill, for you. I was doing the Super Bowl when the Super Bowl was here, and Jerome Bettis, once again, is playing here. But I did something with Fox, and it was the best damn sports show at the time. So it was Willie McGinnis was sitting at the table. It was John Sally. It was Aretha Franklin. It was George Gervin. It was myself. And they were doing, it was at Motor City Casino. And they were doing kind of like a Michigan, Detroit theme. So I was there. Willie just worked with Best Damn. So it was very great. I sat next to Aretha. Aretha had a wig on, if you will. It was long wig, curls, the Queen of Soul, excuse me. And she had bacon bits like in her hair because she had a salad, and I think she leaned down, and it was bacon bits in her hair. Bill, I'm 23. Like, I just had ACL surgery. I got a knee brace on under my suit, and the Queen of Soul is sitting next to me with bacon bits.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm like, do I tell her? Do I not tell her? Because I'm also, if I tell her, she might be more mad at me than I told her. So I'm like messing around with tell her, don't tell her. Finally, her personnel, her guy that was her handler, kept looking. She's like, excuse me, we have to stop. Like, why do you keep looking at the Queen? I was like, Queen has some bacon bits in her ears, so you might want to come over and get that out. And she was like, thank you so much, child. You better get these damn bacon bits out of my head. Man, I was so nervous. I'm like, nah, this is the Queen of Soul, bro. I said, my mom would kill me if I said something, so I got put on the spot to sell. But it
we got Scott coming on, so I want
Scott's
Scott's moment right now.
Here we go. Number one moment.
Let's go.
In my estimation, in Detroit Lions Thanksgiving history is, you got to put, JB left. Switch to the last one.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's Lions-Vikings.
It says Lions-Vikings.
1995.
Scott Mitchell, 410 yards, 4 touchdowns. Everybody had 100 yards. Barry had 100 yards. Brett had 100
Three
yards.
receivers
Herman had
100 yards.
Johnny had 100 yards. You get 100. You get 100. You get 100.
It was so great.
And Scott Mitchell, he was 30 or 45. He was smooth in that game. That was a hell of a game. This is definitely not Leon Lett. That's another moment. That's the NFL top 5 moments of all time.
We got to do those if we got time.
Well, we will.
That game ended on a Hail Mary attempt by Warren Moon. And guess who was in the end zone for the Lions?
Herman?
Oh,
Herman Moore.
Yep. Herman Moore.
Was he trying to throw to Chris Carter or Jake Reed? Who was he going to?
Herman Moore.
He was trying to throw. But he outdueled Warren Moon in that game. That's all I got to say. That's a mic drop right there.
He definitely did.
One of his best moments as a Lion.
He definitely did. Well, let's do this because he should be coming up with us shortly. How about we take a break?
Yep.
We get a message from Big Boy, your favorite spot, and then we come back. Hopefully, we'll be talking to Scott Mitchell, who was responsible for that game. 410 yards, 30 or 45, and 4 touchdowns, and he definitely got some of that turducken, as they used to say.
No doubt. Long live John Madden. Hey, wintertime in Detroit is always better with comfort foods from Big Boy. Try the veal parmesan or the brand new Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl. How about breakfast? The stuffed potato pancakes are back, as well as the classic lumberjack and Santa Fe garden omelets. Also, the new apple pie hotcakes are to die for. Make sure you end your day with one of the best shakes in town from Big Boy. They're brand new gingerbread shake. All at your local Big Boy. They're even at Ford Field.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, September 13th.
Join now at any Metro Detroit location. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Hey everybody, it's Tom Mazaway. Make sure you get yourself some Woodward Sports merchandise. It is the holiday season, so get on it right now. Check everything out at woodwardsports.com. Go on our website, just look for merchandise, click on it. You know that Ryan and all of us wear merchandise all year round, so it is not only inexpensive, but it is awesome, and it'll get to you before the holidays. So surprise everybody. My daughters ask me for Woodward Sports merchandise, and their friends at college and high school They're loving it too. We got stickers. We got everything you want to do to represent the Woodward Sports Network, and we're very proud of it. So check it out on woodwardsports.com.
All right, here we go. WoodwardSports.com. That's right. We are Ermanni and Edwards with Maz and myself, kicking it with Bill Kings today, man. Appreciate you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Hey, Billy, Chad says hello. Chad Johnson says, give Bill my best.
That's awesome.
All right, he's on his way in. He'll be in the front row.
There you
know
go.
where he is for the Lions Thanksgiving Day game.
Maz, I'll let you take it from here, kind of set up what's about to happen. And I know you want to set up kind of sort of with Bill Kings to get it going.
Absolutely. Well, welcome back. Woodward Sports, Braylon Edwards, the great Bill Keenest, former communications president of the Detroit Lions, a historian of that Lions team and the NFL, works for the NFL Game Day ad now, and Tom Mazaway and the rest of the crew here. We welcome in a guy that used to play here for us. His name is Scott Mitchell, former quarterback of the Detroit Lions. And you know what? We're going to talk about that Bye Bye Barry documentary yesterday on Amazon Prime. Of course, Scott came out. He wrote that he watched it. He, of course, loved his teammates and all, but he had some ideas that, people were a little hard on him throughout his tenure here in Detroit, and wanted a little bit. I wanted him to get on here and with you and here in Detroit and sort it all out. Scott, welcome to the program. How are you, my man?
I'm doing wonderful. Is that the Bill Keenest?
It is.
It's the one.
It's just a rumor, Scott. Just a rumor.
We brought it in just for you, Scott.
My day has just been made. Like it was going along, but now that is. Bill, how are you?
I'm doing great, buddy. It's great to hear your voice. And I trust
likewise.
you're doing well.
Scott, good to talk to you too, brother. No,
I'm doing very well.
We just showed your highlights from, or we just talked about the 95 game
against the Vikings.
Against the Vikings, 96. I want to say, excuse me,
95.
It was 95 against the Vikings, 410 yards, 30, 45. It was just an amazing game. Just being a kid, my dad played for the Oilers, so I grew up a Warren Moon fan. So to go there and to watch what you guys did, I was like, he just destroyed Warren Moon, like my favorite quarterback of all time. So I still am deeply hurt, but I'm not, because you're a Detroit Lion and I love the Lions. So go Lions. That was a hell of a memory for me.
It was a good memory for me as well. I mean, those Thanksgiving games were a lot of fun.
Hey, Scott, let's talk about the Barry documentary. And I was a little disappointed that you weren't a part of it. There were a lot of people that were a part of it, and you spoke out on Facebook. I'm a Facebook friend of yours. I reached out to you. I'm Team Mitchell here. I'll be the first one to tell you. I thought you were a terrific quarterback here in Detroit. Every quarterback has ups and downs. But what was your time here in Detroit with Wayne Fontes and the rest of the crew here?
Well, just so you understand, one of the greatest memories or things that I took away from my 12 years in the NFL was the players that I was teammates with. And I had some special teammates, and Barry was one of them. I mean, he was incredible. I had a front row seat for 5 years to some of the greatest runs ever in the NFL. And Barry was like no one else. And I don't ever think there will be anyone with the kind of talent that Barry had. And my frustration wasn't so much with Barry. It really wasn't. It's a little disappointing when, I don't know that maybe I was the quarterback Barry wanted. I don't know that. And that's a little disappointing, but a lot of it was really a comment that Wayne Fontes made. And he said, man, I tried to get him to get Joe Montana here. I tried to get him to get Braylon's favorite player, Warren Moon, here. I know that's not true. And I know that Wayne Fontes came to my house in Florida and absolutely begged me to come to play for the Detroit Lions. And I know that there was never an interest in any other players than myself or Eric Kramer. And Eric just signed with the Bears, so the Lions were all in on me. And quite frankly, so was I. Look, I fully invested in being with the Lions, and we had some great players. I moved there. I lived there. I showed up at that facility every single day during the season and during the off season, and I was in. And Barry was a unique talent, and he was a guy that was not going to run in between the tackles. He's not going to be a runner like an Emmitt Smith, or he's not going to be like a Corey Dillon, who I played with later in my career in Cincinnati, who was an amazing running back.
Broke the rushing
He's not
record.
that type of runner. And so you've got a guy that your offense has to be different. We'd sit and watch game film every week and go, why are we watching game film? Because these teams are not going to defend us like this. They defended very differently. And so we had, in 1995, we started the season 0-3. And Wayne Fonts brought a bunch of the players into his office and they said, what's wrong? And the players all said, you brought this guy here, meaning myself, you got to let him throw the ball. And we were really trying to just force Barry Sanders. And finally, when we just said, let's spread it out, let's just take what the defense gives us, be willing to throw the ball when they stack the box, and it changed everything. And it was a record-setting year for really everyone. I mean, 2,000-yard receivers, both of them had over 100 catches. I threw for over 4,000 yards and 33 touchdowns. Barry Sanders still rushed for 1,500 yards. And so we were really on to something. And my frustration with my time in Detroit is that we just didn't have more time to let that develop. And, you look at a quarterback like Terry Bradshaw early on in his career, and I'm telling you, Terry Bradshaw, if he was in today's era, being the first pick of the draft and starting out as poorly as he did, he would have been cut in today's football. But he had an organization that had patience and that could see that there was something there, and they worked through it, and of course created a dynasty. And that was my frustration, is I never felt like anyone had my back. I never felt like Wayne Fonts had my back. I never felt like there was this patience within the organization. I don't know that people really understood the type of player that Barry was, and how you have to think outside the box with an offense if you're really going to be consistently successful. And now I looked at Brett Favre, and he has Mike Holmgren going, look, we're in this together. Like, you and I, we're either going to go down with this ship or we're going to make it work, but we're in this together. And I just never felt like that my time in Detroit, I got that support. And I was willing to get booed every time I was introduced, and I was willing to take all those bullets, and I committed to it. And I didn't want to leave Detroit. I wanted to stay there, and I was okay with it because I felt like we had something really, really special that we just needed more time with. And the architect of all of that was Tom Moore. And so Wayne gets fired, Tom Moore gets fired, and Tom Moore goes to the Indianapolis Colts and implements that offense with Peyton Manning. In fact, Tom Moore was using elements of that offense when he was a consultant to Bruce Arians in Tampa Bay when Tom Brady was there.
All right,
and so that's where it's just frustrating, and that's all this is to me.
Right.
And I'm just tired of people saying I sucked as a quarterback and I wasn't any good, and I'm just over all that, and I've been silent about it. And I'm just too old. I just don't care anymore.
Right.
And so I'm going to defend myself.
Scott, I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that you say, look, enough is enough. I want to get that off my chest. And look, I too, as a former player, playing for bad or an organization that turns on you. I played for the Cleveland Browns. I understand what it means to get booed after throwing for 4,338 yards, 32 touchdowns, only 12 interceptions, getting screwed on the Pro Bowl, getting played. I understand how that feels, so I understand that part. The only question that I would have is why kind of attack Barry, or why try to diminish what Barry was a little bit in your comment? Like, I read your post, I read the whole thing. You come off talking about, hey, you know what, there are 3 other running backs that are more complete, but I won't even talk about them. There was no need to even bring those 3 running backs up. There's no need to talk about Barry. Like, I would love to just hear the Scott Mitchell story, like what happened and how it turned and the injuries and the ribs and all of that. I don't want to hear about, Barry and it was set up for him to have success. Barry Sanders has done something that only 2 people have ever done, but he was the first. 10 back-to-back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Barry Sanders used to have to dodge tackles in the backfield. It wasn't set up for him to have success. Barry created success because he's the greatest running back of all time, in my estimation. I know numbers are a different
it's
thing.
true.
I would just appreciate just hearing your story, because like franchise, they F up. Like I played for the Browns, and to this day I've never been back to Cleveland. I've never gone to a Cleveland game, so I definitely understand that hate. But you didn't have to like point out what Barry did. Nothing would happen to Barry is a part of Scott Mitchell. The fans, you can be mad at them. I'm mad at Cleveland fans. I understand that, Scott, but not Barry. Just tell your story. Don't have to bring anybody else into it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I appreciate that and understand it. And, I think the thing that's a little bit challenging about that, and there have actually been other interviews that Barry has done, and Barry brought it up. Barry did talk about, he did an interview with NFL Films with Thurman Thomas, and they talked about, Barry didn't have a quarterback. If Barry would have had a quarterback, things would have been different. And so I wasn't the one who originally brought this. And I don't want to get in a pissing match with Barry Sanders. And I agree with you on all that stuff. And I'm totally fine with it. But there were comments made in the documentary, and there were things that he said and in other interviews, including that one. And it inferred that, he just didn't have enough good players around him, and they got rid of a lot of good players, and it's why he quit. It's why he was frustrated. And so, he didn't necessarily name names, but, I was a quarterback on the team half of Barry's career. So it's kind of, who else would it be? And all I'm saying is part of what I said wasn't to rip on Barry Sanders or, I mean, I didn't think anyone would really care what I said. I didn't think 10 people would care what I said. I'm surprised that I'm even on the phone having this conversation with all of you.
Scott, you're part of one of the most legendary seasons in Detroit Lions history. Like, there will never be a day where, like, you don't come up in some capacity. Like, that season was immaculate. Like, that time period. Like, I wasn't a Lions fan. I was a Players fan. But, shoot, when I'm in the backyard playing with the homies, like, definitely cats are like number 19 throwing to number 84, number 19 throwing to number 80, number 19 throwing to 87, whether it was Jermaine Crowell or Johnny Moore. You will always be a part of Detroit history, bro. That season is going down in history.
Don't forget Brett Perriman.
Oh, God.
Number 80, yeah, 100%. Excuse me.
We love Brett.
Yeah.
I just think, Bill, I'm going to let you.
So I'm not trying to.
Go ahead, Scott.
I was just going to say, I'm not trying. Look, I'm telling you, it was awesome for me to play with Barry. And you win with everyone, and it just felt like to me that Barry did everything right, and it was really everyone else that didn't do anything right, and I just don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bill.
Well, I'll go back to the '93 season. Eric Kramer took over, and we won 3 of the last 4 games, and that's the last time the Lions won a division. And played the Packers down to the last Sterling Sharp minute to win that, or could have won that game. And then Eric signed, I think, the first day of free agency with the Bears. And then obviously we had to find a quarterback. Yeah. And Scott can correct me on this, but Kevin Colbert was with you in Miami, correct?
So Kevin was in Miami when they drafted me, and I was actually scheduled to go on a visit. I was going to go to Detroit and then Chicago.
Okay.
And I was sitting in Kevin's office, and he said, "We're interested in you and Eric Kramer." And my agent got pulled out of the meeting and said, "Hey, Eric Kramer just signed with the Chicago Bears."
Yeah.
So then I went back in the meeting, and Kevin goes, "Hey, looks like you're our guy."
Yeah, and that was Tony Agnone, right? Your agent?
Yes.
Yeah, and so after Eric signed with the Bears, it was clear that the organization was all in on you. And in fact, you signed another contract with the Lions after your first one.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you signed that. I think we were in Cincinnati playing a preseason game when you agreed to that second contract. I think what happened was the team, and we've talked about this, started losing a lot of foundational players, in 94, 95, 96. Not only on offense, Jerry Ball, Lomas Brown, Kevin
93.
Glover, Ray Crockett. I mean, the list goes on. And so you get the offense to a historical place when you were playing with us. And that 95 season, I remember playing the game at Tampa, which you remember. We killed them. It was a Saturday game. Beat them like 40-10. And that's when Herman broke Jerry Rice's single-season passing mark.
Wow.
Yeah, and Brett had 108 catches that year.
124 and
123, yeah.
123, yeah.
And but it takes a team. It does. And I use this question, and I'll just put it out there for you two guys, for B and Tom. But, you know, I'll say if I'm speaking to high school kids or whomever, if an NFL team has the leading rusher and the leading receiver, how well do you think they do in the standings? What would you have said?
Well, first.
Okay, guess what? Guess what?
Last.
In 1996, Barry was the leading rusher.
Yep.
Okay. Herman was 2 catches, and Scott had a lot to do with that, obviously. 2 catches from being the NFL's leading receiver. Jerry Rice had him by 2 catches. We finished last, which only underscores that it's a team game. It's offense, it's defense, it's special teams, and I think it was a confluence, a perfect storm of factors that unfortunately worked against us and didn't allow us to win like we were appearing to be prepared to do.
Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, and that was hard because 1996 I actually got injured, I think 6 games into the season, and it was a brutally painful injury that was in my rib cage, and I had to get a shot that was about 12 minutes long with a 4-inch needle in my, basically in my rib cage, just to try to practice. And it was just a really frustrating thing because, you do want to build on and validate, the year you have before. And that's what happens in seasons, injuries happen, things change. And that's why having that patience over time and the organization had run out of patience with Wayne Fonts. I mean, so they wanted to move in a different direction and they brought Bobby Ross in, and Bobby Ross was a guy that his philosophy did not match the personnel that we had.
Yeah.
And that was really what it was. And I think so much of success in any football is being in a system that really fits and accentuates and can take advantage of your skill set. And I don't think that Bobby's system was one with the types of players and the philosophy. I mean, he was not a guy that liked to spread it out, and Barry was a runner that liked to have things spread out, and so he made changes in personnel and decisions that fit more of his philosophy.
Scott, I agree with you 100%. We're up against it. Last thing before you go, I just want to ask you the last question. What was your happiest moment with the Detroit Lions? Because there were a lot, and there were some bad moments too. That's sports. That's every team. What is the moment that you were like, yo, I enjoyed that time, or I enjoyed that moment, I enjoyed that play? What is that moment for you?
That's a really good question, and there are a lot of moments. And Thanksgiving games were certainly they were certainly special. They really were, and I was a part of some really fun wins there. But the game that I really think the most of was the first game I played in Detroit. We played the Atlanta Falcons, and I called an audible on my first play, and I actually threw a slant pass to Herman Moore for 17 yards. And we actually came back late and won the game late. But the reason it was so special is, I grew up in a small town in Utah.
Yeah.
And I had a dream. You talk about the Houston Oilers. I actually went and saw them when I was in the 3rd grade, and I went to Texas, and I got to meet Earl Campbell, and I got a game ball. They played the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I grew up wanting to be and believing I could be this professional football player. And the Detroit Lions they gave me the dream of being a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I'll never forget it. I'll always appreciate it. The Ford family was great to me, but it was in that moment. That was the first time I became a full-time starting quarterback in the NFL.
Scott, that's a hell of a moment, man.
I wish we had more time with you.
Yeah, we wish you had more time, man. Love having you on the show. And it's funny you talk about you and Barry. I was looking at stats randomly trying to do my homework, and you're at 15,269, and Barry's at 15,692. You're 19, he's 20. So you switch one number, and you got Barry, you got Scott. So take that with you, Scott, before you leave. We appreciate you coming on the show, man, and enjoy your Thanksgiving, man.
Happy holidays.
All right, Scott. Good
Appreciate
talking to
it.
you,
Thanks,
Scott.
you guys too.
Yeah,
For sure.
We'll have you on
You
again,
too.
Scott. Enjoy
Appreciate
it, man.
Love to.
All right, bud.
Bye-bye.
Go Utah.
You know what's so great about that is you have this idea of how something's going to go one way, and then you take the time to be patient, and it goes another way. I'm glad we did that interview, and I'm glad we had this conversation with Scott. It's all about perspective. You know, it's all about how someone feels.
You heard him.
I felt him in that moment because I remember Cleveland. Like I remember, like there weren't a lot of memories. I left Cleveland, PTSD. I was like, F Cleveland. I haven't been back. So I definitely understand him in that regard. I just want him to see like the other side too, and I think he did. He came out right away.
You hit it on the button.
We disarmed each other, and I think it was a great interview.
Of course, because you could get a lot of stuff off your chest.
Yeah, you can.
Without hurting other people.
If people give you an opportunity,
if you get an opportunity, and you know what, every one of us here that's watching this show and listening to us has gotten on a rant in their life and maybe sending a text out.
Agreed.
And all of a sudden it's like a 2-page text.
I got
And
fired.
then you got to
from
look
one.
back at it.
Who am I to judge?
You got to look back at it and say, I can't hit send on this.
Well, you know what?
He hit send.
Well, and he would probably remember this. And
It's
I'm
4
sure.
o'clock too, so before y'all getting on a rant
That's good.
again.
That's all right.
Every year at training camp, I would talk to the players in our media session about social media. And I'm going to say, you're going to be angry after games. You're going to be angry during the week. And when you decide to send a text, ask yourself this question first. Would your mom and dad approve it?
Yeah.
Secondly, if they wouldn't, if it creates any question, just wait a day.
Yeah.
Just wait a day.
Wait a day.
And then if you feel that strongly the next day, go ahead and send it.
Yep.
And
100%.
most of the time, we don't push send.
That's a fact.
We don't.
Yeah.
You know what? Happy holidays, everyone.
amen.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
We appreciate everybody.
Go
man.
Lions.
Happy Thanksgiving. Go Lions. Go Blue. What the hell? Go Michigan State as well. From a man, Flannel Sam, we really appreciate
Thanks for
you in the
stepping in,
clutch.
Sam.
Bill Kings, it was amazing to have you on the show. It was a lot of fun.
Amen.
All
Thanks,
this Lions
BK.
is like back down memory lane. I still want more. Pause.
Hold
And
on
then
now, BK.
JB.
Now,
it's 4:01. Go home.
If we go to the Super Bowl,
hang up. Close
Vegas, baby.
There you
End
go.
the
We're
show.
going.
Yeah,
We're going.
What are you guys gonna do in Vegas?
Go to the freaking Lions game.
And that's it. And go to sleep.
Go to sleep.
Go to the buffet and go to sleep. We appreciate you guys for tuning in to Woodward Sports Network. Thank you for tuning in to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz.
See you guys.
We appreciate. We'll see you guys. Happy holidays. Go Lions.
I mean, I think we want that for everybody. Certainly to get another W. That's 1-2's division, and then for everybody, man. For the Lion Nation, for Detroit. I mean, that's it's no different than anything else. We're trying to turn over a new leaf here. We're trying to do something different and find a way to do some things that haven't been done in a while. So this is another one of those opportunities for us.